defense.
Check out the Low Post podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Mike Greenberg is Greeny.
Steph Curry, if this goes the way Stephen A. is talking about, is going to retire with a really interesting resume. Those of us who are as old as I am will never be able to say he's a better player than Magic Johnson, but if you just put their resumes head-to-head against each other, Steph Curry has a chance to retire with one of the great resumes in the history of the sport with no exceptions.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and watch exclusively on ESPN+. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Bart Scott is an entertainer. Let me tell you something. It's one of the reasons that radio show is entertaining.
Bart's is twice the size of mine. And it's up to his neck. Oh, high booty.
Well, that's good, though, for an athlete.
No, I don't know who told you that. I remember us having to tell one of our teammates, say, man, you need to go get surgery, dog. You're in trouble. Yeah, you're going the wrong direction.
G.J. and Max, followed by Greeny. Mornings on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. SportsCenter All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Glad you can make SportsCenter All Night part of your night. It's ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? They're yours. And Progressive protects them both. Bundled today at Progressive.com.
Half-hour headlines on SportsCenter All Night.
NBA Finals resuming on Wednesday. Game 3 in Boston. The series tied at 1. The Angels making a managerial change on Tuesday as they fired Joe Madden. Eastern Conference Final on the ice, even at 2 after the Lightning win at home, beating the Rangers to tie up that series.
Palat fumbles the puck a bit, stays with it. Palat right circle. Palat shoots, save made, rebound, score! At the side of the net, Stamkos! Another rebound goal for the Lightning. They've had a couple tonight. It's 3-0.
970 WFLA as the Lightning go on to a 4-1 win over the Rangers. That series now tied at 2. The Lightning extending their home win streak to 6 games, and they bounce back from the 0-2 series deficit against the Rangers. Just no panic, says ESPN analyst Ryan Callahan.
This is a team who's been there before, they've experienced before, and you can see in game 1 and 2, they didn't have their legs. They weren't playing Tampa Bay Lightning hockey, but it almost seemed like in game 3, they get that goal late, they get the win. They outplayed New York, but it seemed like they got life a little bit. You gave a team, let them off the mat almost, and now they have a little bit of life. They come out and they play their game again in game 4. This was a textbook Tampa Bay Lightning. They get the lead early, they shut it down defensively. They don't give up too many power plays, a power play goal late, but they played so well 5-on-5, and that's what this team does. They play well 5-on-5, and then they make you pay with guys like Kucherov and Stamkos who came to play. So you let them, gave them some life, and now they're running.
If we pivot to the Rangers, this is a younger club, and I think I said to Fox after game 2, being up 2-0, no one's trying to sell this as a bad thing, but it's a very different thing because they had been in comeback mode in the first 2 series. How different is it where you're now trying to protect against a team like the Lightning?
Yeah, it's a lot easier being the hunter than the hunted. And
why is that?
And it's hard just to generate emotion, urgency, intensity as you go into games. For the Tampa Bay Lightning going into game 3, they didn't have to generate anything in that room. They saw adversity and urgency and desperation right in their face. But for a young New York Rangers team to realize that, you know what, guys, we have to match that somehow. We're up 2-0. Everything's great. Everything's great. You can see the New York Post. Everybody's writing everything's great. Everything's roses. Let's plan the parade. But quickly you realize that if you get too high in those moments, it'll come to bite you. And you know what? The New York Rangers right now after those 2 games looked like they maybe got a little bit too high and got away from their game.
You know how great that city is in the springtime, early summer when the playoffs are cooking. And look, they can lean into the fact that we haven't lost in the Garden yet. And Tampa Bay is going to have to win there at some point. If you're in that Lightning room and you've been through so much, don't you lean into that and just believe one way or another, whether it's 5 or 7 if we have to, we can win in that building?
Oh, there's nothing but belief in that room, and that's the thing. They've been there before, they've won before, and if you're the New York Rangers as well, you hang your hat on. We're 8-1 at home in the playoffs. We've won our last 8 there, so boys, all we got to do is go home, win 1 game, and then we got 2 chances to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I think New York, after 2 tough games, that's the one thing they have to concentrate on. We're good at home. Let's go play at the Madison Square Garden in front of our fans and win 1 game.
Game 5 Thursday at Madison Square Garden. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. Boston, the site for Game 3 of the NBA Finals on Wednesday. Tune in for Game 3, presented by Indeed. Coverage 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Warriors with the win in Game 2. Klay Thompson continuing to struggle, missing 15 shots in that one. Earlier on ESPN Radio, our Peter Burns.
Steph is the league, right? Like, he's the Pistol Pete Maravich, right? He is the Chris Jackson. He is the guy that's going to light it up at that point. I know what Draymond Green's role is, the instigator, the attitude adjustment. I don't know what Klay Thompson's role is right now. And you could look at both games, right?
Right.
And because you could argue that he is, as if Steph is 1A in this series for the Warriors to win it all, you could argue that Klay is 1B, and it ain't that far away from being 1A right now, because Steph's going to get his number. The question is on whether or not Klay is going to show up. Are we going to see Game 6 Klay from a couple years ago that just lit it up and the whole world is on fire?
Okay.
Or are we going to see this I don't know what we're going to get out of Klay Thompson?
So how can the Warriors get Klay Thompson going? Steph Curry.
It's a tricky thing. It's like you don't tell Klay Thompson to do anything different. He's Klay Thompson. We've seen it year after year after year. We've seen him impact the series with a breakout game. We got a nickname Game 6 Klay for a reason. So there's nothing really in terms of his confidence or anything you need to say to him to help him. It's just a matter of understanding how Boston's defending him and where he can kind of let the game come to him a little bit. They obviously know what he's capable of, and they send a lot of attention his way to keep a body on him. They try not to let him get any clean looks. And so whether he's getting a bunch of shot attempts early or late or wherever it comes in the game, just to be ready for his moment because he knows it's coming.
So Steph Curry says you don't tell Klay Thompson how to fix it. Klay Thompson apparently has to figure it out himself, right? ESPN insider Brian Windhorst.
Coach Ime Udoka had a point that he wanted to drive home at their film session before today's practice. And he put a statistic in front of the players. And it was underlined and circled and followed by exclamation points. And here it is. When the Celtics have 15 or more turnovers in the playoffs this year, their record is 13-2. When they have more than 15 turnovers, they're 0-5. And that was definitely the case in Game 2, where they gave up 33 points off of their turnovers. Taking care of the ball is the most important thing for the Celtics to focus on to try to get control of the series in Game 3. Several times in Game 2, they were driving into crowds. They had poor spacing, throwing the ball all over each other, and it allowed the Warriors to get steals and easy baskets at the other end. So that is a major factor as the Celtics look to improve and take the lead 2-1 in Game 3.
Okay, another stat, though, that's also important. Boston 6-0 in these playoffs after a loss. Obviously, they're coming off a loss in Game 2. Earlier, and we've been talking a lot about this, Klay Thompson struggles. What is he doing to try and break out of this shooting slump?
Well, he said he was probably going to Google his highlights on YouTube. I can tell you it's not probably. He did. He wanted to see some good shots from not only just the distant past, but from the recent past. And he actually doesn't have to look back too far. At the closeout game in the conference finals, he had 32 points, and that was a really good shooting game for him. He has been definitely up and down over the last month, but he knows that they are going to need him to have another hot game or two in this series. In the second half of Game 2, the Warriors really relied on straight Steph Curry, running all of their offense through him and moving away from their motion offense that includes more players. They're going to need at some point to go back to that motion offense, which means they're going to need Klay Thompson to get hot again, and he is very aware of it, and he's trying to get his mind back in the zone for tomorrow night.
And Warriors coach Steve Kerr has to be one to encourage Klay Thompson.
The biggest thing is he's just got to be patient. Boston has a great defense, so we can't just settle for the first contested shot. And when Klay's at his best, he's moving the ball, he's moving himself, and he's getting good shots. And getting good ones early leads to really good rhythm.
And, of course, there are those who say Steph Curry needs to step up and be the finals MVP, right, for the legacy. Cedric Maxwell, Celtics radio analyst.
I really don't think so. And the reason I say that is because you look at all his accolades right now. He is going down as the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA. He's the only MVP that has had a unanimous vote. So I don't think that he needs to put that on his mantle. He probably would like to have it on his mantle, but I don't think he needs to put that on his mantle to solidify who he is as a player.
See what happens in Game 3. It's in Boston Wednesday. It's on ABC and here on ESPN Radio. Right now, Sports Center all night. NFL, Seahawks receiver DK Metcalf absent from mandatory mini camp. His absence is not excused, subject to fines of about $93,000 over the 3-day period. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers with the Packers and in Green Bay says he will definitely finish his career with the Packers. ESPN Packers reporter Rob Demovsky.
Let's just start with the fact that he's actually here for this. Obviously, last year, he skipped this mini camp and everything else in his offseason of discontent. And even after the season, and he won his second straight MVP, everything from retirement to a trade was on the table. Now, we know he signed that 3-year, $150 million contract extension in March, right? Well, Rodgers said today that that might not be an indication of just how long he's going to play, and it's going to be year to year. But I asked him today if he can safely say that he will retire here with the Green Bay Packers, and he said, yes, definitely.
Look, some conversations had to be had, and I'm happy they were had, and I appreciated the honesty. There were some very direct conversations, and I haven't really shied away from conflict during my time here because I feel like it leads to a resolution that's usually positive for the organization and for everybody involved. As someone who loves this franchise so much, I felt like it was important to share my opinions about certain things and my vision for how this place can continue to improve and get better long after I'm done. And the relationships changed, for sure. I mean, it really did. I saw some really positive things with everybody involved.
Today was Rodgers' first chance to throw to Sammy Watkins, the receiver that they signed in the offseason, and Christian Watson and the other receivers that they drafted in April. It's also the first time that we've seen life after Davante Adams. Rodgers said today that it's not an exaggeration to say that 80% of the pass plays last year were designed to go to Davante Adams, and he said, obviously, things are going to be different around here this year.
As for the Rams, Aaron Donald now has a new deal. He says, though, it's about winning for me. The defensive tackle saying becoming the highest paid non-QB in the NFL was not his priority. It's about the wins. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Baseball, the Padres, a 7-0 shutout of the Mets. Yu Darvish, second game with 7 scoreless innings pitched this season. Mets had 2 hits, their fewest in a game this season. Padres have won 4 of their last 5. Rockies, a 5-3 win over the Giants. Charlie Blackmon, pinch hit go-ahead homer, drove in 3, his 200th career home run, in fact. And the Rockies go on to the win, their 4th road win since the start of May, 4-10 road record during that span. Reds putting it on the Diamondbacks.
The 3-2 pitch to Votto is swung on, and it is belted to center field. Going back on it, McCarthy. He's at the wall, looks up, and gone. A 3-run home run for Joey Votto, and the Reds have a 3-0 lead in the first.
They would put up more than that. They'd put up 14. It's a 14-8 win over Arizona. 5 homers for the Reds, their most in a game this season. Marlins also putting up double digits.
Bases full, 2 outs, swinging a high fly ball center field. Thomas is back, still going back, onto the warning track, at the wall, he leaps, it's out of here! It's a grand slam for Jazz Chisholm Jr. And Miami has opened things up in the bottom of the second. It's 5-0. Here's a swing and a high fly ball. This thing is hammered deep to right field. Jazz has done it again. 12-0 Miami.
Look out, Jazz. I see you, young boy.
And for Jazz, it's home runs number 9 and 10 tonight.
Jazz Chisholm going yard twice. Career high 6 RBI. Drove in half of the Marlins' runs in a 12-2 win over the Nationals. The grand slam in the second inning coming on a 3-0 count. First player in Marlins history to hit a grand slam on a 3-0 count. Marlins' first season was in 1993. Braves and Athletics.
And the pitch on the way to Heredia. He hits a high fly ball to left. He attacks swiftly, sends one down the line, and the Braves have the lead. Guillermo Heredia sends one down the left field line. It is his 3rd homer of the year, and for the first time tonight, the Braves have control up 3-2 over the Athletics.
3-2 would be the final. 680 The Fan with the call. Braves a season-high 6-game win streak, their 8th straight win against Oakland, and it's courtesy of the Heredia home run. Speaking of home runs, something the Tigers have been lacking. 5-3 win over the Pirates, but it's Detroit's 33rd game without a home run this season. That's tied for the most in Major League Baseball, but they get the win and snap a 3-game losing streak. Straight ahead, 2 losses, and you'll be done at the College World Series. Who will win to? That's next. SportsCenter all night at ESPN Radio.